शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती धीनामभित्र्यवतु गणेशाय नमः सरस्वत्यै नमः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम् यश्छन्दसां वृषभो विश्वरूपः छन्दोभ्योऽध्यमृतात् सम्बभूव समेन्द्रो मेधया आस्पृणोतु अमृतस्य देवधारणो भूयासम् शरीरं मे विचर्षणम् जिह्वा मे मधुमत्तमा कर्णाभ्यामूरिविश्रुवम् ब्रह्मणः कोशोऽसि मेधया पिहितः श्रुतं मे गोपाय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः मेधा देवी जुषमाणा न आगाद् विश्वाची भद्रा सुमनस्य माना त्वया जुष्टानुदमाना दुरुक्तान् बृहद्वदेम विदधे सुवीराः त्वया जुष्टऋषिर्भवति देवि त्वया ब्रह्मा गतश्रीरुतत्वया त्वया जुष्टश्चित्रं विन्दते वसुसानो जुषस्वत्र विनो न मेधे मेधां मदिन्द्रो ददातु मेधां देवी सरस्वती मेधां मे अश्विना बुभावा धत्तां पुष्करस्रजा अप्सरासु च या मेधा गन्धर्वेषु च यन्मनः दैवीं मेधा सरस्वती सा मां मेधासुरभिर्जुषता स्वाहा आमां मेधासुरभिर्विश्वरूपा हिरण्यवर्णा जगति जगम्या ऊर्जस्वती पयसा पिन्वमाना सा मां मेधा सुप्रतीकाजुषन्ताम् मयि मेधां मयि प्रजां मय्यग्निस्तेजो दधातु मयि मेधां मयि प्रजां मयीन्द्र इन्द्रियं दधातु मयि मेधां मयि प्रजां मयि सूर्यो भ्राजो दधातु हंस हंसाय विद्महे परमहंसाय धीमहि तन्नो हंसः प्रचोदयात् ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात् स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्ताम् न्यायेन मार्गेण महीं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यम् समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
एकदन्ताय विद्महे वक्रतुण्डाय धीमहि तन्नो दन्तिः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Om Sri Sai Ram. I offer our loving and prayerful salutations at the lotus feet of our dear Lord Sai. On behalf of Sri Satya Sai Samyukta Shruti Shreni of Sri Satya Sai Seva Organization, I am indeed highly privileged to extend a warm welcome to all the enthusiastic seekers of Vedic knowledge, to all the dedicated resource persons, to all the sisters and brothers, and all the ardent devotees of Bhagavan Baba. I welcome you to the second episode of Gama Agama lecture series. Today, we have with us Dr. Anil Kumar, a devout, pious, and a blessed soul, as our next speaker to address us on the topic, the Vedas, the foundation of Indian culture and spirituality, part 2. Dr. Anil Kumar considers himself to be highly fortunate to be born to the ardent devotees of Bhagavan Baba. He is the son of Sri K.S. Murthy Garu and Angama Garu, ardent devotees of Bhagavan Baba since 1950s. By Bhagwan's grace, Dr. Anil Kumar joined Sri Satya Sai Arts, Science, Commerce College at Brindavan in 1979 for the PUC program. He completed his BSc in 1984 at the Brindavan campus and moved to Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Prasanthi Nilayam campus for the master's degree in 1984. He joined for his doctoral program in 1986 and successfully completed with the divine blessings in 1990. Thereafter, he was blessed to be a faculty member in the Department of Chemistry at the Prasanthi Nilayam campus, and he served there till 2007. Thereafter, he joined Dr. Reddy's Institute of Life Sciences as the head of the Center for Drug Repurposing and served there during 2007 and 2010. Later, he moved to Tata Chemicals Innovation Center, Pune, as the head of the center and remained there till 2017. Subsequently, he moved to Nagarjuna Fertilizers and Chemicals Limited and served there as Chief Scientific Officer till 2019. Presently, he is the Chief Scientific Officer in Mistry Ventures LLP and is also serving as a technical advisor to NFCL. By Bhagwan's grace, Dr. Anil Kumar was blessed to be the Prasanthi Mandir officiating Pujari for 1 week during April 2007. With such rich experiences in the divine presence, we will have a lot of wonderful things to hear from Dr. Anil Kumar. So now I welcome Dr. Anil Kumar to address us. Dr. Anil Kumar, Sai Ram.
अच्युतं मे गोपाय।
गणेशाय नमः, सरस्वत्यै नमः, श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। ॐ जयतान्मङ्गलन्मूर्तिः सकलदिशावलयविस्तृतसत्कीर्तिः दुरितजनतापार्तिः सत्यश्री साईनाथ गुरुमूर्तिः। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। With prayerful pranams at the lotus feet of our most loving Mother Sai, respected elders, brothers and sisters, and pilgrims on the Vedic sadhana, it's a great pleasure and joy that I have been given this wonderful opportunity of sharing my thoughts and the lessons that I have learned at the lotus feet of our Divine Master with you all. At the very outset, I would like to thank Sri Satya Sai Samyukta Shruti Shreni team for giving me this wonderful opportunity, and also Professor Atish Kumar for his words of introduction. Thank you. I would like to begin with a quote from Bhagwan's discourse from summer course in 1990. I quote, "The Vedic literature is the most ancient in the world. It's a treasure trove of wisdom. It has contributed and will continue to contribute to the all-round development of man. It is the birthplace for human culture and the basis of all kinds of powers. All branches of learning have their origin in the Vedas. All dharmas and virtues have sprung from the Vedas. The Veda is endless, unfathomable, indefinable, and blissful. The word Veda is derived from the Sanskrit root word vid, meaning to know, gnana. Ishvara gnana is Veda. Atma gnana is Veda. Brahma gnana is Veda. Advaita gnana is Veda. Veda is Vijnana. The divinity of Veda is all pervasive. It does not pertain to one individual, one place, or one time. It is universal." Bhagwan also said during his discourse, divine discourse on the Ishwarama Day in 2008, "Veda and Vedanta are like our parents. Always remember them and never forget them." So we are singularly fortunate that the Vedanta Vedya, Veda Purusha and Veda Mata, our true parents in the form of the Shiva Shakti avatar, Sri Satya Sai Baba, lovingly guided us to this noble redeeming path. Lord describes Vedanta and Vedas as our parents. In fact, while speaking to the students in Vrindavan, I remember Swami once said, every human being has 5 mothers: the Desha Mata, the Bhu Mata, the Go Mata, and the Veda Mata. When we really look at these 4 mothers and what they contribute to each human being's life, the Deha Mata gives us the body. Desha Mata gives us the culture of the land. The Bhu Mata gives us all the accessories, right? Be it the food, the metals, the minerals, everything that's needed to lead the life. Gomata gives us the nourishment. While all these four matas give us all the things required to lead a mundane life, it is only the Veda Mata, and again I emphasize, it is only the Veda Mata which gives us the purpose of life, which tells us about the purpose of life, which tells us why are we here, where have we come from, where have we got to go, who are we, what is our origin, what is our relationship with nature, what is our relationship with God. These are the questions which only Vedamata guides, and therefore Vedamata is the more devoid of Vedamata, human society will become a forest. Sans the purpose of life, human beings will not tend to behave as human beings. So it is the Vedamata which has created the human society, which is leading us to the, guiding us and leading us with her hand towards salvation. So Vedamata is, that is the reason why in Ishwarama Discourse Swami said, do not forget Veda and Vedamata, Vedanta and Vedas, as these are your true parents. Vedas are Anadi, as we always know. They have existed right from the beginning of creation. When, like my brother earlier mentioned in the first talk, Mr. Sudhindran mentioned, So Kamayata Bahusyam Prajayeti Shatapo Tapyata. So the minute there was a So Kamayata, there was a desire, then at that very moment, because that's a vibration, Veda arose. So Vedas have been Anadi. From the time of creation, they have been there. They have been there, they will continue to be there. And rishis, through their penance and efforts, have seen these Vedas. That is the reason why we call them seers. Because they have seen the Vedas, they are seers. And because they have seen the mantras, we call them mantra drashta. We need to understand that Veda is not written by any human being. It is only seen, it's only perceived by human beings in their meditative state. Through their penance, rishis have heard this. To give you an example, in fact, one analogy which drives home this point of Veda drashta versus Veda karta will be very, very clear. Drashta versus karta, what's the difference? Veda drashta, mantra drashta, there's a beautiful analogy which is, in fact, all of us should know because it's closest to our hearts in essence. This happened in 24th December 1977 on the eve of Christmas, when Gandikota Subramanya Shastri Garu was in the immediate divine presence in Vrindavan that year. He saw the Satya Sai Gayatri. He perceived Satya Sai Gayatri and he immediately revealed the same in the divine presence. Om Saishwaraya Vidmahe Satya Devaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. And he then went on to explain the meaning in his own Sanskrit terms as Yo Devaha Satya Sainaha Buddhim Dharmadi Gocharam Prerayet Tasya Yat Tejam Tadvarenyam Upasmahe. And he was thrilled that such a wonderful Vedic meter he could perceive. But after the session with Bhagwan, as he was retiring that night, as he was thinking through the events of the day, he felt little guilty. He started feeling little worried. He started thinking, have I not heard properly? Have I made a mistake? Because in Gayatri, he being a doyen of Vedic literature, he knew that every Gayatri meter, the third line, you get the name of the deity. For example, just as Ratish Kumar brother just now chanted, Tatpurushaya vidmahe vakradundaya dhimahi tanno dantih prachodayat. Tatpurushaya vidmahe mahadevaya dhimahi tanno rudrah prachodayat. Narayanaya vidmahe vasudevaya dhimahi tanno vishnuh prachodayat. So he got it out. How is it that Sai, Tannas Sai prachodayat should have come? How is it Tannas Sarvah prachodayat has come? He himself got it out. Have I heard it properly or have I done a mistake? Is Sai Gayatri, it should have been, because it is Sri Satya Sai Gayatri, it should have been Tanno Sai prachodayat. So he was little worried. Next day in the morning darshan, Bhagwan called him and said, what you heard is right, because I am Sarva Devata Tita Swarupa. Therefore, Sarva word is the right word for me. And that is why what you heard is Tannas Sarva Prachodayat. And Bhagwan quoted what in Samyukta Shruti Shreni all of us are now teaching and learning, or learning together, I would say. The Shivopasana mantra, we get that now. Aghorebhyo thagorebhyo ghora ghora tarebhya sarvebhya sarva sarvebhyo namaste astu rudra rupebhya. Bhagwan quoted this line, Sarvebhya Sarva Sarvebhyo Namaste Astu Rudra Rupebhya, and said this Sarva in Sai Gayatri connotes to that Sarva there. And if you see there in the description of the Shivopasana mantra, as we move forward, Sarvo Vai Rudrastasmai Rudra Yadapo Astu Purusho Vai Rudras Sanmaho Namo Namaha Vishwam Bhutam Bhuvanam Chitram Bahuda Jatam Jayamanam Chayat Sarvo Yesha Rudras Tasvai Rudra Yadabo Astu. Everything that has been born is going to be born is Rudra Rupam, is the Rupam of the divine, and that divine is called as the Sarva. And therefore we all should understand in Sai Gayatri, the Sarva word has so much deep significance, and that is the reason why Gandikota Subramanian Shastri Garu saw had he written, he would have written it as Tannas Sai Prachodayat. He is not a Karta. This is what we mean by saying mantra drashta. He only saw, he only perceived the mantra, but he has not written the mantra. So we should understand that Vedas, everything is perceived. None of the mantras that we are learning, none of the mantras that are there in all the Vedas have been written by anyone. They have been perceived by the sages in their meditative state. And therefore these Vedas, where have they been? As just we discussed, as I mentioned before, right from the time of creation, these Vedas have been existing. Swami gives a beautiful example in one of his discourses. Swami said, gravitation existed even before Newton discovered it. It is not that gravitation started existing since the time Newton discovered it. Similarly, Vedas are existing and will continue to exist. Whether anyone perceives them or doesn't perceive them, they are always there in every atom in this universe. The vibration that is there is the Vedic vibration. That is why Swami said it is universal. That is why Swami said Veda is the truth. Because Trikala Bhadyam Satyam, that which does not change in the three phases of time, is called as Satya. And therefore Vedas are the truth. And that is why, and Veda is the breath of God. And that is why Swami sang, Swami used to very often sing, love is my form, truth is my breath, bliss is my food. Truth is my breath. When Bhagwan said that, Swami was telling all of us, Vedas are his breath. He is the primordial divine being, and his breath are the Vedas. When we say breath again, we need to understand it is not the breath that we talk of in the common parlance. The reason is we are breathing means we are separate from the air that we breathe. When God created, even before Akasha was created, the Shabda, or as soon as Akasha was created, Shabda came. Vayu comes after Akasha. Akashat Vayu, Vayor Agnihi. So even before Vayu came, Akasha had come. Then what is this breath that we are talking about? So it is the vibration. The vibration that has emanated as a desire. Like Swami says, I separated myself from myself to love myself. So when the desire rose in the divine, in the primordial being, from then on the vibration emanated, and therefore when we say breath, we mean the divine vibration. The divine vibration is which is the cause of creation, is the Veda. It is the cause of creation. It is not just by saying breath, we should not take it to the breath that we are breathing in and breathing out. It is the very cause of creation. It is the Chetana Shakti that is there, which has been which was the cause of the whole universe. That is what we mean by saying Vedas are the breath of God. In fact, this is where we should understand this in greater detail. When we see in Purusha Suktam, it is said, Devayat Yajñam Tanvana Abhadnan Purusham Pashum Tam Yajñam Varihi Shipraukshan Purusham Chatamagratah Tena Deva Ayajanta Sadhya Rishayaschaye Tasmat Yajñat Sarvahutah Samhrutam Prusharajyam Pashugustaguschkreva Yavyana Ranyan Gramyaschaye Tasmat Yajñat Sarvahutah Richas Sama Nijagnire Chandagum Srijagnire Tasmat Richas Sama Nijagnire. When did this Ruchas, Yajus, Sama and the Chandas, how did they come about? When the Devas, who are another form of the same divine being, did a Yajnam, offering whom? Abhadnan Purusham Pashum, binding the very same supreme divinity as the Pashu to be sacrificed in that Yajna. When they performed the Yajna, out of that Yajna came Rig, Yajus, Sama, Atharva and the Chandas. So we need to understand that Vedas came about due to the sacrifice of the divine being. Due to the sacrifice of our Lord, we got this rich knowledge, this rich treasure trove has been passed on to the humans by sacrificing himself. Bhagwan has provided this to us. Purusha Suktam says it is the sacrifice of the divine which has led to the creation of all the Vedas and Vedic Chandas or the Vedic meters. So how grateful we need to be that it is our dear Swami's immense love that we have been blessed with this treasure trove of Vedas. Vedas, what do these Vedas teach us? Vedas give us all kinds of knowledge. In fact, Swami used to very often say, Ihamuna Sukhimpa Hemataraka Vidya, Paramuna Sukhimpa Brahma Vidya. Vedas teach both. Vedayati Alaukikopayam Bodhayati iti Vedaha. That which teaches the knowledge which is beyond the senses is Veda, is what is told in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. The Supreme Lord, all through this Vedas, Supreme Lord is described in various ways. Everything that we have to know to lead a noble life is mentioned in the Vedas. It is said, Tadahi Shrishtatvena Purusha Shukteshu Vibhutya Rudreshu Nishprapanchataya Upanishatsu Yajna Purushatvena Mantra Vidushu Dehavirbhavai Rupakyeneshu Upasatvena Cha Sarvatraha. As a creator in Purusha Sukta, as one with myriad forms and energies or vibhuti in Rudram, as one devoid of delusion in Upanishads, as Yajna Purusha in mantras, the same single one being has been described in many ways in the Vedas. Each mantra gives a different description of the Lord. That is where Swami says one message that Vedamata continuously gives, the most important message which Vedamata continuously gives across all the mantras is Ishavasyamidagum Sarvam Yat Kinchat Jagatyam Jagat. Every small bit of this universe is Ishvara. This is what we even get in Narayana Suktam. Yat Kinchit Jagatyam Jagat. Every bit of Antarbhashchatat Sarva Vyapya Narayana Sthitaha. Every bit of the universe is pervaded by the divine. There is only Ekam Eva Advitiyam Brahma. There is only one and there is no second. This is the message which is a universal thread, a constant thread in Vedas, which Swami said is the love of the Vedamata, which tells us this truth and makes us realize this truth. This knowledge of Vedas is so vast. It is called as Ananto Vai Vedaha. It's so vast that it was not possible for human beings, especially in the Kali age, to even understand a small, infinitesimally small bit of this knowledge. It was said, Sahasram Samashakaha, Ekashatam Yajushakaha, Ekavigumshati Shakaha, Rukvachanaha. So there were 1,000 Samashakas, 100 Yajushakas, 21 Rukshakas were there. This much amount of knowledge we slowly lost, and we are left with 2 to 3 shakas in each of these Vedas now. And even these 2 to 3 shakas are so vast, so to make it easier for humans to follow, understand and enjoy and benefit from these Vedas, sage Vedavyasa classified these Vedas into 4 Vedas predominantly. He brought all the Riks together. Rik means descriptive words of praise. Descriptive words of praise across the Vedic literature. He brought it together and called it as Rig Veda. He brought all the Yajus, that is ritual practices, together and called it as Yajur Veda. He brought all the Samans. Saman means musical and metric notes, metric verses. He brought them together and called it as Samaveda. And all the practical aspects of day-to-day living, he classified them as Atharva Veda. So that is how we have Rik, Yajus, Sama and Atharva Veda. And he further classified each of these to make it even more simpler. Each of these Vedas had again, he classified into 4 subunits. Samhitas, which are compilation of hymns. Brahmanas, which are compilation of the practical utility of these hymns, how do we do a ritual out of these hymns? Aranyakas, which are internal observations, means mananat. Whatever is required for rumination, for self-improvement, is the Aranyakas, and Upanishads is the essence of the Vedas. The Samhita and Brahmanas are called as the Karma Kanda. Aranyakas and Upanishads are called as the Jnana Kanda. In fact, the 4 stages of life have been correlated to the 4 aspects of every Veda. The Brahmacharya, in the Brahmacharya ashrama, it is the Samhita which has to be learnt. In the Grihastha ashrama, it is the Brahmanas which have to be learnt. In the Vanaprastha ashrama, it is the Aranyakas which have to be learnt. And in the Sannyasa ashrama, it is the Upanishads that have to be learnt. So it is based on the stages of human life that each of these Vedas were further classified into Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. But to understand this Vedic literature, Vedangas were created. There are 6 of these Vedangas. Siksha, which all of us in Sri Satya Sai Samyukta Shruti Shreni have been fortunate to learn, which is Siksham Vyakyasyamaha Varnaswaraha Matrabalam Samasantanaha Ityuktasyikshatyayaha. So it is the pronunciation. How do we pronounce a word and get the benefit of the right vibration? So Siksha is the first Vedanga. Then we have the Kalpa, which tells us about how to do the practices, the ritual. That is, the Brahmanas are all about doing the rituals and the practices. So those have to be understood using Kalpa as the Vedanga. Then Vyakarana, which talks about the grammar. In fact, Lord Hanuman was called as the Nava Vyakarana Vekta, right? And then Nirukta is the etymology, the root of every word, so that we understand the meaning in its clarity without any confusion. Chanda or Chandas, which is the Vedic meter, like we have Brihati, Trishtub, Anushtub, Jagati, Gayatri. There are so many Chandas that are there. Then we have Jyotisha, which is the study of light, actually speaking, but here it also takes the connotation of astronomy and astrology, the effect of planetary bodies on human life. So we have 6 Vedangas: Siksha, Kalpa, Vyakarana, Nirukta, Chanda, Chandas and Jyotisha. Out of this study, using Vedangas, when Vedas were studied, they gave rise to 4 Upavedas. Each Veda gave rise to one Upaveda. Rig Veda gave rise to Ayurveda. Yajurveda gave rise to Dhanurveda. Samaveda gave rise to Gandharva Veda. And Atharva Veda gave rise to Arthashastra. As the words go, it's very easy to understand. Ayurveda is about the inner health, the holistic health of the individual. Dhanurveda is all about defense, how to defend the country, defend oneself. Gandharva Veda is all about the emotional aspect of one's life, which is the music and musical art and culture. And Arthashastra is, of course, the commerce part. So these 4 Upavedas, as you can see, make the life complete, right from the health of the individual, which is the physical, Dhanurveda, which is the protection, self-defense and protection, Gandharva Veda, which is the emotional aspect, Arthashastra, which is the commercial aspect. So one can lead a very effective dharmic life and then go on to Aranyakas and Upanishads and lead one's life towards salvation. So this is how Upavedas came about. As further to this, as the Vedic literature was more and more understood and applied to human life, it again gave rise to 2 other small additions. One is what we call as Agamas, Gama, Agama, when we say, actually Agamas are a output or an outcome of these Vedas. We have Shaiva Agama, Shakta Agama, Vaishnava Agama, Jaina Agama, and so on. And also Sutras, which are actually outcomes of mainly the Aranyakas and the Upanishads, which are Brahma Sutra, Yoga Sutra, Sankhya Sutra, Kanadas, Vaisheshika Sutra, Mimamsa, Nyaya, and so on. In fact, Narada Bhakti Sutras also, they say, is an output of the Vedic literature. So you can see, even with 2 or 3 of each of these shakas remaining, the knowledge is vast. It's even to understand a bit or even a small amount of this knowledge is not possible unless we start early. And that is why I think Swami always used to say start early, and that is the reason why I think Swami has made it Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat for this Sri Satya Sai Samyukta Shruti Shreni, to start with the youth to start with, because we need to start early to at least understand one drop completely, at least one drop of this nectar of the divine ambrosia. So there's so much knowledge and so much of Vedic literature which has to be really gleaned. In fact, Swami in one of his discourse said it is the duty of every individual, every Bharatiya, to read Vedas, to understand Vedas. As in fact, one Swami said it is as important or more important than your worldly subjects. In fact, Swami once, I remember this conversation very clearly. It was our exams time, and those were the days when Bhagwan used to come after the interviews and before the bhajans. That gap used to be there. So Bhagwan used to come, walk amidst the students seated in Prashanti Mandir, and then while so many conversations, I'm sure there are so many, where some other time we can actually go through those experiences part. But Bhagwan, this is a very relevant message which I thought I should quote here. That was examination time, so we used to do night outs, which is routine for every student life. So Bhagwan one day came during the examination time, was standing. I was seated quite close to where Bhagwan was standing, and this conversation was going on. So I happened to hear, and it got stuck in my mind. Bhagwan said, see, you are all studying so hard. You are doing night outs, not sleeping at all, and studying so hard. Forgetting what? 1 degree. And we thought, yes, Swami. Then Swami said, while very lovingly he said, when you put so much effort to get 1 worldly degree, should you not put some effort to at least get some move from one class to another class in your spiritual life? So a very, very pertinent question to all of us. Bhagavan said, you put so much effort for getting these worldly degrees. Can you not put a small effort in your spiritual life? And so if we correlate that to our putting effort to understand and learn Vedic literature, it becomes very essential that even with the 2-3 shakas that are remaining, it's so vast, it's mind-boggling. Really, no amount of even secular education can match the amount of knowledge that is available for us Bharatiyas. So I think we need to spend time in trying to understand in our own way, whatever catches our attention. Each one of us, the attention will be different. Each one of us approach will be different. Shannam, each one thinks differently, right? Munde mathir bhinna, we say. So each one thinks differently. So each one's understanding of Veda will be different. In fact, when we say understanding of Vedas, that is the beauty of the Vedic language. Because the Vedic language, as we said, is a vibration. It is not a language, it's a vibration. And therefore, Sayanacharya in his Nirupta says, the Vedas, every word of Vedas, there are 6 meanings you can give. Can you believe this? There are 6 meanings for every word of Vedas. And he says, those are Vachyartham, means literal meaning. Then we have Lakshyartham, which means meaning based on attribute. Then we have Sutrartham, which means meaning based on the whole sentence or the whole mantra. That is the holistic meaning. Then we have Yajnartham, ritual. How do you do a ritual out of that? That meaning, when you look at it from a Yajnartham perspective, the meaning will be different. Then we have Visheshartham. This is a very, very unusual thing. What is Visheshartham? Contextual. So as the Desha Kala Paristhiti changes, the meaning also can change. So you can imagine just Visheshartham, so many meanings are possible through Visheshartham. And then finally we have Oshadhyartham. Every Vedic mantra has a medicinal implication if we really go deep into it. In fact, Rudram, every paragraph discusses for a particular disease state. So there are so many meanings. So meaning, therefore, that is the reason why we don't need to immediately worry about the meaning part when we are learning the Veda. Because meaning will literally manifest itself to each individual as we keep on ruminating. Meaning, to give you another example, a single word like Krishna, Bhagavan gives 3 different connotations to it. Karshati iti Krishna, one who tills the land of your heart, who purifies your heart is Krishna, means one who is a farmer. Karshati iti Krishna. Krishyati iti Krishna. Sorry, Krishyati iti Krishna is the first one. Karshyati iti Krishna means attraction. One who attracts is Krishna. And last one is Kush iti Krishna, one who is always blissful. So you can imagine, for a single word like Krishna, if you are able to give 3 different connotations. And so what connotation should I take and start if I have to learn about Krishna's life? Therefore, you keep ruminating, and each one, the meaning will, the right meaning, Bhagwan will make him or her understand at the right time of our existence as we keep on ruminating. Because like Vedas are Ananta, meaning also is Ananta. The beauty is Vedas are Ananta, Ananta into Ananta, infinity into infinity. Ratish Kumar sir might be able to tell what it means, right? Infinity into, or infinity power infinity, I would say is the meaning of the Vedas. So as many as there are individuals that are now there, that will be born, that will be there for time immemorial, that many meanings can come out of the Veda. And therefore Veda meaning is something which we don't need to worry too much. All the same, we need to know it at the base level to build and understand how to chant, what it means. But all the same, we have to keep at the back of our mind that everything has much deeper significance and deeper meaning. To give you another context on this, Bhagwan, in fact, this was an experience. I was just thinking, Bhagwan, what should I say? And in one of the WhatsApp group, I suddenly got a forward in which Bhagwan's speech was there, and the speech, small portion that forward was Bhagwan mentioning about Satya Sai. Swami said Satya means Rig Veda, Sa in Sai means Samaveda, A in Sai means Atharva Veda, E in Sai means Yajurveda. And Swami said, therefore, Satya Sai is all 4 Vedas. This is the connect I recently got in, I don't know which day Swami gave this speech, but it was in Parthi setting. I could make out it was in the Kulwant Hall. So Swami said, Satya Sai means Satya is Rig Veda, Sa is Samaveda, A is Atharva Veda, and E is Yajurveda. So the 4 Vedas is Satya Sai, and therefore when we say Satya Sai, he is the Vedic vibration, the compilation, the complete Swarupam of Veda Tattva. He is the Nirakara Tattvam of the Veda. In fact, again to correlate this to what we are learning at Satya Sai Shruti Shredi, Shivopasana Mantra we are learning. In fact, we say Nidhanapataye Namaha, Nidhanapatantikaye Namaha, Urdhvaya Namaha, Urdhvalingaya Namaha, Hiranyaya Namaha, Hiranyalingaya Namaha. What are we doing? We are saying an attribute first. Urdhva is an attribute, Hiranya is an attribute, Suvarna is an attribute, Divya is an attribute. Then what do we say? Attribute is Nirakara, right? Then we say Urdhva Linga, Hiranya Linga, Divya Linga, means we are now giving it a form. We are saying we are converting that attribute into, which is Nirakara, into a Sakara of the attribute. So when we say Satya Sai, it is Nirakara Vedic vibration. But when we say Satya Sai Baba, it is the Sakara of the Vedic vibration. So when we say Sri Satya Sai Baba, it is the Sakara of the Vedic vibration. Satya Sai is Vedic vibration itself, and therefore I think it is Bhagwan's grace that it was named Sri Satya Sai Samyukta Shruti Shredi. It is the 4 Vedas Vedic vibration which is going on further, right? So when we say Sri Satya Sai Baba, when we add, it becomes the Sakara of the Vedic Swarupam. It is like the Hiranya Lingaya Namaha, Suvarna Lingaya Namaha, Divya Lingaya Namaha. So it is the Nirakara getting converted or appearing to us in the Sakara form. So this is the beauty when Swami said Sri Satya Sai is 4 Vedas. So every word of Bhagwan's is full of Vedic meaning. In fact, pregnant and filled with Vedic meaning. That's the reason why Sai literature itself is Veda. In case we are unable to, because Sai, truth is my breath, Swami said. So every word that Swami spoke is Veda. Sai literature itself is Veda. So following even Sai literature is following Vedic literature. In fact, as I was just thinking and ruminating about this, I suddenly realized that even in this small bhajan that Swami used to sing, love is my form, is from Veda. Namo Hiranya Bahave, Hiranya Varnaya, Hiranya Rupaya, Hiranya Pataye. Swami said in the one of the Shivaratri discourse, Hiranya Linga means Prema, love, eternal love is called as Hiranya. Another translation for Hiranya is eternal love. That is why Hiranya Garbha Gayatri starts with Prematmanaya Vidmahe Hiranya Garbhaya Dhimahi Tannas Satyah Prachodayat. That is the Hiranya Garbha Gayatri. So Prema Hiranyagarbha means the eternal love, the love so kamayata. There was a love that was the germ, that was the seed which created the universe, the eternal love, and that eternal love is Hiranyagarbha. Hiranya therefore means eternal love. So when we say Namo Hiranya Bahave, Hiranya Varnaya, Hiranya Rupaya, Hiranya Pataye, what are we saying? Love is my form. Love is the, when Swami says love is my form, it's a translation of Namo Hiranya Bahave, Hiranya Varnaya, Hiranya Rupaya. Truth is my breath. Bliss is my food. Anando Brahme Divyajanat Anandadhyeva Kalvivadibhuta Nijayante Anande Najata Nijivanti Anandam Prayantyabhisham Vishanti Anandamayo Vijnana Ghana Adityaha. So Ananda is his food. So even a small bhajan which we take it so casually is full of Vedic connotations. Everything that Bhagwan said, therefore, is and was and will be Vedas. So this is the kind of, Bhagwan's thing was he was so casual, so he never made it look very big, and therefore we had taken every word of his for a very small. In fact, the way Swami used to teach, even using the same Vedic words, was beautiful. One such instance is, this was in old Vrindavan. There was one very elderly man who was Nishta Para, means was following all the Sandhya Vandana, all the Nishtas of Vedic life. So when Swami came, he used to tell Pravara. You know what is Pravara, no? We actually tell the lineage right from the rishis, and then Krishna Yajurveda Shakadhyayi, Apastamba Sutra, Krishna Yajurveda Shakadhyayi, dash Ahambo Abhivadaye, we say, right? So when he was saying this, Swami stood, Swami, after he said, he took Swami's namaskar. When he got up, Swami said, Aham Bo Abhivadaye. That is the way to reach God. Aham Bo, B-O-W, Swami converted it to you. Remove the Aham, you will reach God, he said. See the beauty. Aham Bo Abhivadaye is what we say, right? When we are saying Pravara, Swami said, Aham Bo, you remove the Aham, you will naturally reach me, Swami said. So that is how, in very, very subtle, simple ways, Vedic literatures for Bhagwan is to give new meaning. In fact, when we say Vedas are his breath, right? When we say Vedas are his breath, by chanting Vedas, what is happening to us? We are going to become divine. If that Vedas lead us, in fact, if I have time, so can I go on for a little longer, Dr. Ratish? Yeah. So Vedas, so in fact, when we say Vedas are the sound which are primordial, then what do we mean by the sound? Sound itself is again not the sound that we are saying, because the sound that we connote to requires a medium to travel. But Vedas are the sound of Vedas does not require a medium to travel. This is what is described in Lalita Sahasranamam as Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama and Vaikari. Right? This is what in Saraswati Rahasyopanishad it is said, Aim Chatvari Vak Parita Vipadani Tani Vidu Brahmana Ye Manishinaha Gruhat Tridi Nihita Angani Turyam Vacho Manushya Vadanti. There are 4 different sounds before the final sound which men talk. The sound that you are now listening to me is Vaikari sound. But there are 3 other sounds behind this sound, which sages through their meditation can listen to. So when we say Veda, it is actually the Para sound. So when we are able to, so Veda chanting, what does it do to us? It takes us backward. It takes us backward from Vaikari, it takes us backward to the Madhyama, from Madhyama to Pashyanti, from Pashyanti to Para. So it's a travel backwards to the origin is what the Vedas make us do. In fact, Vedic chanting is so very profound that in Amrita Bindu Upanishad, it is said, Dve Vidye Vedayittavye Shabda Brahma Param. There are 2 types of ways of reaching Brahma. One is through Shabda Brahma, other through knowledge of Param. Shabda Brahmanapi Nishnataha Param Brahmadi Gacchati. If you are a Nishnata of Shabda Brahma, which is if you are a Nishnata of Vedas, Parabrahmadi Gacchati, you will certainly attain the divine. This is a Upanishad, the Upanishadic statement, not a statement which has been written by anyone. It is a Upanishadic statement. There are 2 ways of reaching the divine. One through Jnana, other through Shabda Brahma. And if you are a Nishnata of Shabda Brahma, means if you have perfected the Shabda Brahma, if you have perfected the Vedic learning, that will take you to Brahma. So this is, in fact, many a times I used to wonder, when we used to be in the physical presence of our loving Lord, I used to wonder, how fortunate are we? We are all breathing the same air that Bhagwan is breathing. What he inhales and how exhales, we also used to inhale and exhale. It's the same air, especially when we are in a small room like in TV room. It is the same air that Bhagwan was breathing that we were also breathing. How fortunate are we? But now, as I was thinking about it, I suddenly realized by chanting Vedas, because Vedas are his breath, we are immediately in his physical presence. Because it's the same physical presence. We used to breathe the same air, Bhagwan and us. And through chanting of Vedas, because it is his breath, we will also be living in his physical presence always. So this is the wonderful opportunity of Vedas and Vedic sadhana. In fact, chanting of Vedas itself is seva. It is not that necessarily we need to go and do some physical activity. Why is it so? Because Swami used to tell this very often. Veda Mata never teaches narrowness. In fact, the very Gayatri mantra which we do every day, Gayatri Japam, Om Bhut Bhuvassuvaha Tat Saviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat Nah Prachodayat Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. It is Naha word is us, for all of us. It is not Dhiyo Yo Mama Prachodayat. So Mother is Veda Mata is teaching even in our daily prayer to pray for everybody. This is what is there in Rudram also. Yatha Nasyamasad Vipade Chatushpade Vishwam Pushtam Grame Asmin Anaturam. So everyone, the Dvipada and Chatushpada in my community, let them be happy. So it is all, the prayer is a community prayer, and therefore Vedic chanting itself is social service. So we have to see that Vedas have this amount of power hidden in them. They lead us back to our origin. They are the vibrations which purify us, purify the atmosphere. They are vibrations which make us live in his physical proximity, close proximity. They are the vibrations which will also serve the society. So with this, and they are Ananta, and therefore effort has to be put right from the beginning to understand even a bit of it and benefit from it. So these are the few thoughts that I thought I should share with you all. Before I end, again I would say thank you to Sri Satya Sai Samyukta Shruti Shreni. Yo Vedadav Swara Prokto Vedanteja Pratisthitaha Tasya Prakriti Linasya Yah Parasa Maheshwaraha Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Sai Ishwarar Pranamastu. Thank you all. Om Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram. On behalf of Sri Satya Sai Samyukta Shruti Shreni, it's again my privilege to thank Brother Anil Kumar for such a wonderful exposition. He started with a note of Bhagwan stating the importance on Veda and the vibration, and he ended up in the same vibration. All through he was carrying us in that vibration. He started off with the origin, the way it has come up, the way he said, the very nicely he has put it, how Swami has separated himself from himself to love himself. The entire message, that we are all part of it, as and when we chat, we are very much with him, and all through with this song of Love is My Form, he has continuously kept on reminding us that we are verily the part of his vibration, and we are this Satya Sai. The way he ended up is wonderful. He said that this Satya Sai Samyukta Shruti Shreni is helping us to realize ourselves that we are the part of the vibration. The very life breath is Vedas, and Samyukta Shruti Shreni has given us such an opportunity to be with that vibration. Thank you, Professor Dr. Anil Kumar, for such a wonderful exposition and reminding us that we are the breath of Bhagavan, and we are very the part of it. The way, and he gave wonderful analogy of Apaurusheya in our present times, when you actually reminded us of what has happened in Vrindavan through Sri Gandikoti Subramanya Shastri Garu, the way he perceived Sai Gayatri Mantra, That's the way you have given a very nice depiction and an example of what is apaurisheya means. The way the sages perceived, and in the present times we could experience it and feel it the way you. This is a wonderful example that you have given, and say that yes, what did give such an perception to him, his purity, the way he has gone into that, you have reminded us, and probably Samyukta Shruti Shreni giving such a wonderful opportunity for us to go through this vibration helps us all to again be part of this apaurisheya. And you also reminded us of a number of wonderful Vedic teachings. One of the very important Vedic messages, Ishavasam Idam Sarvam. The way you put it was wonderful. Thank you very much for that. And then the way you reminded the different five matas, and Veda Mata being the most prominent, the way you drove home the message of Bhagwan in such a very simple way, we're thankful for that. I think this again put the vibration back into us. I think you went on, I have noted it, you covered more than 20 to 25 very important points. Probably I cannot repeat your speech, but it was a wonderful thing. The way you chanted the Nidhanapatiye Namaha and linked it, the way we are the Akara, and then the way the whole thing has taken shape. I think that was a wonderful exposition from your side. We're extremely thankful because these are all the mantras that we are currently learning and teaching in Sri Satya Sai Samyukta Shruti Shreni. We have understood and we have become a lot more conscious of the various things that we are learning, and thank you very much for such a wonderful exposition and reminding us that we are verily part of his breath. So I don't want to repeat your wonderful exposition. I think it's a wonderful thing. Every point has a lot to dwell. So we are extremely thankful. I thank on behalf of all the participants, on the behalf of the team members of Sri Satya Sai Samyukta Shruti Shreni. And before I end, I once again would like to remind all the participants that you could send your queries to the email that has been posted at the footnote. So you will be able to get your replies in the course of time. Please do post your queries, which has been added to the email, which has been posted at the end of the TV channel, YouTube channel that you are looking at. And finally, I would like also to thank one of the pillars who has been behind this is Sri Subramanian Garu. Gorti Subramanian Garu, I think we should be extremely thankful for him. He has been quietly and very seriously spearheading this activity. We sincerely thank Bhagwan to profusely bless him, and he has brought all of us together. As Dr. Anil Kumar rightly put, that we should thank the team. It is Swami's energy through him that is working through all of us, and we thank and we profusely thank Bhagwan for bringing us all together, and we look forward for many more such wonderful sessions. Sai Ram.
Om Jai Jagadish Hare Swami Satya Sai Hare Bhakta Jana Samrakshak Bhakta Jana Samrakshak Pati Maheshwara Om Jai Jagadish Hare Shashivadana Shrikara Sarva Pranapati Swami Sarva Pranapati Ashrita Kalpalatika Ashrita Kalpalatika Abhatandhava Om Jai Jagadish Hare Mata Pita Guru Daivamu Mariyantayu Nive Swami Mariyantayu Nive Nada Brahma Jagannatha Nada Brahma Jagannatha Nagendra Shayana Om Jai Jagadish Hare Omkara Rupa Ojasvi Sai Mahadeva Satya Sai Mahadeva Mangala Arati Andhuko Mangala Arati Andhuko Mandala Giridhari Om Jai Jagadish Hare Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana 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 Om Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Satya Narayana Narayana Om Jai Sadguru Dev सत्यनारायण नारायण ॐ जय सद्गुरुदेवा शांति 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 समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा